My name's William Alsop. I'm an architect and I always wanted to be an architect, as long as I can remember. My interest in architecture, really, I don't really know where that came from. There's no one in my family that has done architecture or anything remotely like that. Maybe I fell in love with the word at some point before I knew what it meant. Who knows? All I do know is that I was brought up in a house very close to the first modern movement house we built in Britain. This is in Northampton, the house called New Ways, designed by an architect called Peter Behrens. I always remember my mother taking it for a walk, who would say, "That's a really ugly house." And the more she said it, the more I said, well, actually it's quite interesting because it didn't look like any other house in Northampton.
Will Alsop uses painting as a first step towards the development of a project. It is an approach he has pursued since the mid-80s. He also thinks that sculpture was fundamental to the process of architectural design.
I do what I do. I don't know any other way of doing it. But I tend to use paintings often very large. It's not something I've always done, it's just evolved. When I was a student at the Architectural Association, I found it a very good place, not so much to sketch what's in the museum as to absorb the ambience and to do my own sketches, trying to work out what I wanted to do. So therefore, in that way, it was a point of some inspiration. I'm not sure that you'd recognise it coming through in the actual work I did, but I can assure you it was a delight to sit here with your own thoughts in a place that obviously inspired somebody else. Sometimes it can be quite abstract, sometimes it's more. Paint has a life of its own and its marks and make. Also, it sometimes suggests other things which you hadn't thought of. So it's a way of deprogramming yourself to actually see something else. I think it's important to engage the local community and turn it into a general conversation, a general imagining, dreaming session, whatever you like to call it. You invite people to dream alongside you, then people actually are excited, and people underneath that are very interesting. They're harbouring dreams and aspirations which normally they don't have the opportunity to talk about.
William Alsop attended British school in Rome around 1972. During that period, he made some great friends who in one way or another influenced his thoughts in his work. His friends, painter David Gold, sculptor Karen Pura. She taught Alsop how to be curious, and also printmaker Ian Granger. This was in his bedroom in Rome. Unfortunately, this was the only image documented on his room at the time. Just a simple dorm room with everything any designer would need. A table by the window, and an adjustable lamp, just a regular setting in any house. Very different from his elaborate designs. Home in the centre of Norfolk. In this kitchen you can see that it's not the typical English kitchen. I think with a lot of his home design, he has taken the American touch to the house. In this image I can see that there's a working desktop or possibly a dining table for breakfast in the middle of the room. So the room itself has to be of a significant size or open planned for the table of such a size to work in the room. The room is very well illuminated, but with soft light for comfort and the sense of relaxing. One would cook and someone else would be sitting around the table to be entertained. So it's a very home-orientated room and house, even though that it says Will Alsop's children have all grown up and moved out. It's also said that the kitchen is the soul and core of the house where everyone gets together. Next to the kitchen, this is the open plan part of the house where the living room and the dining room table is linked together. In this part of the room, you can say it's almost symmetrical, dividing a room into two spaces where it is occupied by two different people, so they would have their space to put their own things. On the left, there is all these architectural magazines of Will Alsop's and some things. In the middle of the room, you can see through this space. That was the space we just looked at. There is also Pointer said that Will Alsop design, especially along these sides by the sofa, that a person could put their drinks and also have on the other side be able to put their ashtray so they could drink and smoke at the same time, take away the awkwardness of not being able to find a place to put their drinks. I find that in Will Alsop's home designs, a lot of it is sort of cozy, comfort, and also practicality, mostly being able to put up your foot for comfort or having this place to put your drink, mostly alcoholic beverages, and also having a place to put your ashes. Over here you can see that this was the room we just looked at, the so-called symmetrical room, and here leading in the middle is an illuminated arch, the center, the barrier between the two rooms. This is a dining table on the other part of the room, so this arch would have been like breaking in through the wall. This is on the far right side, so the dining table that I just mentioned, and these would be some paintings that either Will Alsop himself painted or some work of his friends who are painters too. In this flat, when they moved, they had an instinct to buy new furnitures and to make life simpler. There's a sense of impermanence in the pace of London life, and it feels in rhythm to travel light. We're lazy shoppers though, so most of the furniture in the sitting and dining room came from the convent shop. The quirkier odds and ends began to creep in. An ocean allure here and a wooden tutor here. So just like normal people, you would have thought that such a successful architect like himself would incorporate in his own designs or specially design something for his house like Zaha Hadid did. When they decided to buy the house, they had this argument, or not rather argument, but sort of debate about whether to live higher up, like third floor, or on the ground floor with a garden. And Sheila Alsop had won that argument, so they bought a flat that had a garden. And Will Alsop actually said that it's actually a good idea to have a flat on the bottom floor so that you can see the plants grow. It's perfect to have a spot to have gin and tonic and a cigarette and read the newspaper in peace in the summer. The conclusion of this project, according to the brief, is an architect in his own home without the constraints or wishes of the client. What would he do? In Alsop's case, I believe his house is a family and friend space, and the cozy effect, and also a compromising project with his wife, a place where you retreat to. Therefore, I believe in his architectural work is where he can have the decision fully to create what he imagined. Although if, without the concerns of laws of physics, clients and budgets, I believe the one true place to 100% for Alsop to be able to express his ideas and designs would be through his paintings and sculpture.